8 steps to building $1 million personal brand. Really just 8 steps. I keep thinking about this a lot in terms of the difference between the people who make it and everybody else. And I've realized that the more you do, the more you start to realize like, hey, you made it hard in the very beginning. You just made it hard on yourself in terms of procrastinating, just not feeling like it, all sorts of things, just doing too many things. You're just making things harder than it should be. And so that's why people haven't actually built the personal brand they want. So I'm just going to give you a simple 8-step process that I would use if I were to start all over again in terms of building a personal brand. So obviously if you got the personal brand, you're sitting there selling out events, selling out books, selling out products, whatever you want to sell, you can sell that with your personal brand. But this is literally just 8 simple steps in terms of what you need to do to actually build that personal brand to 7 figures. What's up, Kathy? What's up, James? What's up, everybody on Instagram that I can or can't see? So I want to stress this part in terms of building a personal brand. A lot of people think that you're just producing content, just content. And hey, content is important, but it's not the main thing. And so a lot of people, they keep producing content and then they wonder, where does the money come from? Why aren't they generating any revenue? And in order to hit $1 million personal brand, you have to have something to sell. Not only do you have to have something to sell, you got to keep selling the damn thing 24/7 all the time. There should be no distinction between your content and selling whatever it is you're selling. You have to sell in order to hit that 7 figures. It may sound stupid in terms of what I just said, but a lot of people, they're just afraid to sell. They want to produce a podcast or whatever type of content they're producing for the personal brand, but they refuse to sell because they think, I got to give, and then ask. And in reality, it should be basically one and the same. The purpose of all content is literally to sell. That's the purpose of everything you do when you're building your business. And so when you think in terms of just building the personal brand, the reason it takes a long time to grow is just because we just get in our way. And if it takes you a long time, there's a risk of you quitting because you feel like there's no momentum. You're trying to build, you're trying to grow, and you're trying to make money building your personal brand, but there's no momentum. So you're at risk of quitting because everything you do, creating a podcast, all that stuff, you don't really see anything. You don't see the engagement. You don't see the revenue. And so you're thinking, oh man, maybe I got to do something else. And naturally you're going to switch to something else. So there's a huge risk if you're not selling something, if you're not truly building the momentum. And this is why I talked about in a video maybe a week ago or something, I talked about spending money. In order to actually make money, especially to hit 7 figures, you have to spend a lot of money. You have to spend money to make money. And the more fearful you are spending money, the less money you're going to make in the long term. And the only reason you would be afraid to spend money is because you don't know how to actually use it to make you money. That's the only reason you'd be afraid. So if you do these 7 steps, this is literally the only steps you have to do to build the 7-figure personal brand. And even I'm looking at step number 2. Step number 2 is technically optional. It's something that you probably should have, but it's technically optional. But you got to get into the mindset of you're not going to hit $1 million just producing content. You have to sell. Keep selling. Keep focusing on selling. If you take too long to grow, if you take too long to sell something, you're at risk of quitting because you won't see any momentum. You're going to burn out by producing a lot of content. You're just going to burn out, and you're at risk of quitting. And if you're unwilling to spend money, then you won't make any money. And so you have to start with those things in terms of building $1 million personal brand before we get to these 7 steps. And I want to re-emphasize the fact that if you start with content when you're building your personal brand, you are going to consume so much of your time that you may not have time to do anything else in terms of creating your sales process or anything like that. Content consumes so much of your time, especially if you do like what I do, daily Facebook Lives and all that. It consumes a lot of your time. If you're just producing 1 video a week, then it still consumes time, but not in terms of daily videos. So content, it consumes time in terms of if you're writing down notes, maybe you're editing the videos yourself, you're filming it, you got to get the thumbnails, you got to make sure the headline is good, you got to think in terms of ideas, what are the other ideas that are popping to your head, all this stuff, it consumes a lot of your time. So if you don't have something to sell, you're going to keep producing a podcast, keep producing videos, and then all of a sudden before you know it, you're like, where's this going? You don't really see where it's going. So that actually leads me into step number 1 of the 8 steps to build $1 million personal brand. Step number 1 is really simple. It's one of the steps that whenever I would hear an entrepreneur talk about it, it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, I know, I'd heard that before, but I rarely did it. I rarely sat down and actually wrote it out or anything like that because I just thought in my head, I'm like, all right, yeah, I know. No. It was just one of those things people just kept talking about and I just got bored with. But it is hands down the most important thing of everything that you do. So step number one of building the personal brand, this is the only step that, this is the only non-practical step, I guess, in terms of, it's just the only non-practical one, I guess. Step number one, you just start with a vision. So this is basically what exactly do you want to accomplish? This is one of the things, like I said, I heard so many entrepreneurs talk about this. Start with a vision, mission, vision, whatever it is. Goals, start with that and then go from there. And in the beginning, I didn't really do that, which is why it took me a while to get to where I wanted to be. Just because didn't start with the vision. What you have to do is you have to start with that vision or your mission because you have to see where you're going. That whole thing of start with the end in mind. You start at the end and then you reverse engineer. It's very true. That's what you're doing. That's what the vision allows you to do. And the mission, what all of these things allow you to do, it allows you to get rid of the procrastination and all that. Imagine you're on a mission. Like you are truly on a mission to do something. What happens is you become obsessed with that thing. So you learning how to create a sales page, learning how to do copywriting, learning how to create better videos, learning how to, build the back end of your online program. Whatever it is you need to learn, you figure it out because you're on a mission to accomplish this vision that you have. So you have this vision. Here's what I want to have happen. Then you go on a mission. You're like, all right, I got to make this thing happen at no matter what, whatever it takes at all costs. I got to figure this thing out. And so whatever you need to learn, you learn it. Whatever you need to do, you do it. No matter what it is you feel like. I wake up, I don't feel like doing it. You do it anyways because you are on a mission. So this is why this is the most important part. This is where you essentially just define your audience. You truly understand who's the audience, who are you going after with your personal brand, what exactly are you selling them. You're trying to define all that. You're picturing all this inside of your head. Write it down if you want. But this is one of the things that you keep doing nonstop. You do it in the shower when you wake up. You do it at nighttime when you take a shower again. If you do 2 showers like me, whatever it is, but you're always thinking about that vision. Always you adjust the vision if you need to, and you think in terms of missions. And so that's what you need to do to begin with. Everything else is really practical in terms of the 8 steps. This is technically practical, but this is one of the things where people consider it a mindset thing and they just stop there. They don't really do it in terms of the level they need to do it. The way you know you did this right is when you literally feel obligated to put yourself out there to where it's almost like if you're not doing it, you're not only wasting your time, but you're truly not helping anyone. And so you have to truly feel this mission in terms of I really got to make this thing happen. So that's step number 1. Step number 2. So first I would define my mission. After I have that, and by the way, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask questions now, and I'll go back to them later. So after you have the vision, then you start with a website. This is the one that's kind of optional because nowadays, very few people actually tend to go to websites for people with a personal brand. What happens nowadays, everybody's on the social media. Everybody's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Everyone's on those, Snapchat. And honestly, I haven't been on someone with a personal brand. I haven't been on their website in a long freaking time. I'll see their stuff on Instagram or on YouTube. I haven't actually been to their website in a long time. So nowadays, a website is, I would still get one. I'd still build one, but it's one of those things where I wouldn't focus on it the way I used to. I would build it based on mobile, by the way. That's what I'd do it for. The purpose of the website is really just to make you credible. If I Google somebody and they don't even have a website, I think to myself, this person's not serious about their business. Like, what kind of business doesn't have a website? So if you're building a personal brand, you don't have a website, then what you doing? Even if you don't really try to focus on building the most amazing website, you got to get a website anyways if you're building that personal brand. So this is where you get photos taken, videos. If you want to hire a videographer, this is where you're really focusing on the website in terms of what problem do you specifically solve. So if you're a fitness trainer, you're like, hey, I'm going to help you get 6-pack abs. When you lift your shirt up, people are going to be like, damn. And so you post that sort of stuff on your website. And you post the actual problem that you solve on your website. So that's what I would do to start with. So number 1, the vision. Number 2 would be the website. At that moment, I'm thinking in terms of number 3 is, what am I going to sell? Because once again, I'm not trying to create content to begin with. Content consumes way too much time. So at this moment, I'm thinking, what am I going to sell? So this is where I create the offer. I create the offer, the program, the event, whatever it is I'm going to create. I create something that I'm going to actually sell. But more importantly, I get the offer right. You have to get the offer right. Just because you have something to sell, whether it's an online program, whether it's an event, whether it's coaching, no matter what it is, just because you have something to sell doesn't mean it's the right offer that people want to buy. And so that is why in the very beginning, after I get the vision, after I get the website, next thing I'm going to spend all my time focusing on the offer. And so this is where you think in terms of the delivery system. Is it going to be an online program? Is it going to be a coaching program? Is it going to be an event? And once again, I'm going back to my audience in terms of thinking about the audience. People who buy online programs, they're not CEOs, because CEOs, they don't have time for an online program. They're not going to sit there and spend hours on an online program. They want to attend an event, a 2-day event, just get things done. Bam, that's it, right? So that's essentially what I would think about in terms of the program. I think about the offer. I think about the delivery system. Is it going to be an event or what? If it's something like a coaching program or an event, I don't have to technically create anything in the moment. I create the offer itself. What's the coaching going to be? Is it going to be once every month? Is it going to be once every week for 6 months? So I just create that part. Same with an event. I say, what's the event going to be? Let me visualize inside of my head. All right, let me create the details of the event. But I'm not technically creating anything. Unlike an online program, you got to create the videos and do the back end and all that. But ultimately, I'm going to create a program. I need something to sell. The only way you will hit $1 million really quick with your personal brand is just by having something to sell. More importantly, something expensive to sell. If you're selling a $49 program, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you to hit $1 million. So in the beginning, I'm focusing on the offer. More specifically, how do I get this offer right? So what I'm doing is I'm thinking about a specific problem. So let's say I choose sales. I'm a sales trainer. All right, I'm building my sales program or my sales brand. So at this point, I think of the offer. Okay, the offer, what exactly can I sell? Well, let's focus on a specific problem. Well, a specific problem with sales training, it could be cold calling. So, all right, let's do cold calling. That's a specific problem I'm going to solve to begin with. Maybe it's going to be a whole event around cold calling. So we'll talk about overcoming the fear of calling, how to do it really fast with systems like Phone Burner, all sorts of things in terms of cold calling. But I focus on a specific problem. That's how I'm going to create the offer with whatever program I'm going to create. At this point, I'm thinking along the lines of how is the offer different? So it's not about being the best. It's about being different. If I can make this offer really different than everybody else's offer, it's going to be easier to sell. So I'm really going to focus on the offer for step number 3. After step number 3, after I write down the offer, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a badass offer. Everybody wants to learn how to cold call. It's going to be badass. It's going to be an event. It's going to be, all right, I got I visualized everything. I'm on a mission to build the greatest freaking sales company in the world. All right, let's go. I got the program ready to go. At this point, I'm going to create the sales process. So this is where I'm going to use the funnel to where I say, all right, what's the actual funnel that I need to create in order to sell this thing? If it's an online program, I think in terms of, all right, let's maybe create an ad. Let's do that landing page. And then right after the landing page, let's sell them the program. Just immediately after the landing page, as soon as they sign up and opt in, let's just sell them the program immediately. If they don't buy, let's put them into an autoresponder sequence. Let's create 5 emails and then we'll sell them inside of the autoresponder. If they don't buy after that, then let's do broadcast emails where I'm producing content. So I create the whole funnel. Now, if I were to start over, the funnel I would create would be a phone funnel. In the beginning, I did not want to talk to anybody on the phone. I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I'm not really that good on the phone because I'm pretty intense when I get on the phone and I'll just go off on a mofo if they say something. And so I'm like, nah, I don't really want to get on the phone. And it took me years to finally do a phone call to where I'm like, all right, guys, you can schedule phone calls, and then generated a ton of sales doing that. I said, damn it, Benji, what's wrong with you? You should have freaking did phone calls a long time ago. You would have generated more sales a lot faster. And so that is why I recommend a phone funnel to begin with, because all you're literally going to do is you have the ad, you'll have the opt-in page. Hey, enter your name and email for this thing. Then on the thank you page, I would say, hey, schedule a phone call and let's talk about XYZ, whatever the problem is. So let's talk about how to do cold callings for you specifically. Let's talk about how to get you a six-pack abs. Let's talk about how to, and so that's what I would do on that page. Hey, let's schedule a call and let's talk about XYZ. On the phone, I would actually sell them the program. So on the phone, whenever the call is, all right, so yeah, tell me about your problem. Oh, you want six-pack abs? Okay, well, how much do you weigh right now? Okay, yeah, all right, so yeah, we can do that. Well, here's the health plan you need, and here's the workout routine you need. And by the way, if you want to join the program at the end where we can talk more once a week in the coaching program, blah, blah, blah. So that's what you're doing on the phone. That's what I would do on the phone immediately in terms of getting the sales, and I would really, really focus on building that sales process. I wouldn't really do anything else until I mastered the sales process. So I would essentially stop on, well, technically step 5 is, well, no, step 6. Yeah, technically step 6 is where I would really stop, but I wouldn't do anything until I mastered the sales process. I wouldn't do anything else. So after I've created a sales process, now I'm thinking about how do I master the thing. But step number 5 is setting up an autoresponder sequence. So remember, in the beginning, I'm creating the vision. I got the vision inside of my head. All right, let's go on a mission. Then I create the website. All right, bam, I got a website. So when they Google me, they see some badass mofo. Shut your mouth. So that's what they see. After that, I create the program. All right, hey, here's the greatest program on cold calling, the greatest program on six-pack abs ever. So I create a program. After that, step number 4, I create the sales process. Bam, I got the program. Now it's time to sell this damn thing, and I sell it through the phone. After that, I'm going to set up an autoresponder sequence, because the people who initially sign up to the opt-in page, and let's say they don't schedule a call for the thank you page, well, they're still going to get emails. So in the emails, I'm going to say, hey, buy my stuff or I'm going to slap you silly. And so that's what I'm going to do in the autoresponder sequence. I'm going to write 5 autoresponders or 5 emails in the autoresponder sequence. Email number 1 is going to be a welcome email. I'm going to say, hey, welcome. I'm the baddest mofo. Shut your mouth. I'm going to say I'm the baddest mofo, and I'm going to teach you how to get six-pack abs. I'm going to teach you how to sell listings, whatever it is, whatever the problem is. I send the welcome email. By the way, here's the thing you sign up for. You can check out the social media pages. I'll do all that in the welcome email. Then the 4 other emails are going to be case study emails. The 4 other emails are going to say, look at what we did with this guy and how we got six-pack abs for this guy. Look at what we did for her. Look at how we got six-pack abs for her. Look at what we did for this guy. Not only did he get six-pack abs, he got also biceps too. And so I'm going to do that in 4 emails, and I'm going to sell the program. I'm not going to be worried about overselling. I'm not going to be worried about people getting offended because I'm selling them something. I'm simply going to say, buy my stuff or I'm going to slap you silly. That's it. And so I'm going to create the autoresponder sequence, step number 5. After I'm done with step number 5, I'm going to create ads. So at that point, I have everything set up. I got the funnel, got the sales process, got my vision, got my website, got everything set up. I got the business set up. The foundation is set to build that $1 million personal brand. Everything's set up. At this point, I got to spend money. Remember, you spend money to make money. So at this point, I'm saying, all right, let me create some ads. What's the ad that I'm going to create? What's the ad that's going to be very appealing to get people to sign up to my email list? So at that point, go to Facebook, go to Google, go wherever I need to go, YouTube, wherever I need to go, and create an ad. And so I'm going to be testing different ads. I'm going to create an ad that I think is amazing to begin with. Then I'll test it here, test it there, and I'll create multiple ads and keep testing them. I want to spend as much money as fast as possible. What I want to do in the beginning, what you want to do in the beginning, you need to create a sense of urgency. Without this sense of urgency, you move too slow to accomplish what you want. And so this is why you have to get to a point with spending money as fast as possible, because you're going to sit there thinking, all right, if I'm spending $20 a day, $50 a day, I got to hurry up and make money. I got to hurry up and make my sales process work. I got to hurry up and get really good on the phone. I got to hurry up and get really good with these emails. I got to hurry up, because if I don't, I'm going to lose a lot of money over the next month. So what you're doing is you're spending money on ads to create that momentum, to create that sense of urgency. Hey, I got to get this thing done. I got to keep moving. It just forces you to focus on getting things right, on mastering the right things instantly. And so at this point, I created the ads, and I'm just emailing the list in terms of the program that I created. So I'm emailing the list, hey, buy my stuff or I'm going to slap you silly. Finally, once I've created the ads, once I've created the product, once I have the funnel, the autoresponder sequence, my vision set, the website, once I have all that stuff, step number 7 is content. So towards the end is content. This is where content, the purpose of content is literally to get people who haven't bought your program instantly. It's just to keep their attention. So that way, if they didn't buy instantly, which most people don't, you just create content for them to follow and then obviously watch later on. So I'm going to create content at the very end because once again, creating content consumes time. It consumes mind share in terms of what you have to think about, coming up with ideas. How do I film the videos? How do I edit the thing? It just consumes so much time. So I'm going to create the content only after I have something to sell, after I have the sales process set up, after I created ads. That's the only time I'm going to start creating content. At this point, I'm going to create content based on what I'm really good at or what I need to get good at. So if I know that my audience prefers a podcast, I'm going to get really good at podcasting. If I know my audience prefers written articles, I'm going to get good at written articles. If I know they prefer YouTube videos, I'm going to make a lot of videos. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to create content based on what my audience actually consumes. And nowadays, I'd probably create everything, to be honest. I'd create a video, that way I can strip the audio for the podcast, and I would take images from the video, use that for Instagram and everything. I would create everything. And so that's what I do. Finally create the content. Step number 8, the final step is really, I don't want to say anything is the most important step, but this probably is the most important step because without it, you just won't make anything happen, really. And it's one of those where it's not really, it's not like a tactic or anything. So step number 8, or let me go through the steps again. So step number 1, you start with your vision. You start with the vision, the mission, you define everything. Step number 2, the website. So you get a website up. That way when people Google you, they're like, oh, this is a badass mofo. Step number 3, you create an offer. You create a program. Step number 4, you have a sales process. You create a sales process to sell that thing. Step number 5, you create an autoresponder sequence. I guess technically part of the sales process. And step number 6, you create ads. Step number 7, you do content. And step number 8, the final step is just adjust. You adjust until everything works. So in the beginning, no matter what you do in the beginning, it's not going to work. You can be the smartest human being in the world. Well, I guess you'd be second smartest, but you can be the second smartest human being in the world. And no matter what you create, it will not work in the beginning because you do not have the knowledge to make it work. You're not good at copywriting in the beginning. You're not good at phone sales in the beginning. You're not good at creating landing pages in the beginning. You're not good at the website. You're not good at creating ads. You're not good at it. So there's no possible way it's going to work. So in the beginning, you're going to set everything up. You're going to be doing the right things. You just won't be doing those things right. That's why step number 8 is you adjust until you get it right. What you're doing is you're basically mastering the process. You're mastering the emails. You're mastering the content. You're mastering the ads. You're mastering the process once you have it down. So this is where you're thinking in terms of how do I fix my funnel? This is why everyone keeps telling you like keep track of numbers and that sort of stuff. Because the numbers, it allows you to see where you need to fix things. So if you see that, hey, nobody's clicking on your ad, I mean, that's really easy. Hey, I got to create a better ad. The reason why nobody's buying the program is because nobody's clicking on the freaking ad. So it tells you, let me create a better ad. So that's why you're keeping track of numbers. But ultimately, number 8 is you're adjusting and you keep doing this nonstop. Number 8 never stops. You're always adjusting. You say, all right, here's the thing that I'm doing. All right, how do I make it better? Okay, I need to do this. All right, what about this? And how about instead of a phone funnel like this, let's do it like this. And how about instead of me calling them during the phone thing, let's have them call me. And so you keep adjusting until you get something that works really, really well. Before you know it, you get freaking $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month. That's literally what happened to me. I just created the process. That's literally the process I did, just those steps. I created the process, and then after that, you just keep adjusting. That's it. You keep adjusting. The adjusting part is the hardest part because you don't know what to adjust. You don't really see where your faults are. So when someone creates an ad, they say, nobody's clicking on my ad. What the hell? And so they don't know how to change the thing because they're not good at copywriting. They don't know what to say in the ad. And that's why the ad doesn't work for them. And so this is why everyone keeps saying buy programs or invest in mentors and go to events, things like that, because you have to learn to adjust. So that is literally all that I want to talk about today in terms of building the 8 steps to building $1 million personal brand. So if there are any questions, let's see, any questions, make sure you ask. Let's see, what is that? EME consultant said, what if you have only 2 case studies? What are the other 2 emails? Good question. So if you only have 2 case studies, you can split up the 2 case studies. You technically don't need to have 5 emails. That's just what I would do. If you don't have case studies, then you are the case study. So that's what you do in the beginning. So one, you probably have 3 case studies because you have 2 case studies of people who aren't you. So 2 clients that you've done stuff for. And then you have you, which you've also done stuff for yourself. So at that point, that's what I would do. So I would just create those 3 emails to begin with, maybe even a 4th email where the 4th email, it was split up the case study. So let's say you're selling, you're a fitness trainer and you're selling 6-pack abs. So when you're actually training someone, you're training them to do more than just get 6-pack abs. So you usually, in order to get 6-pack abs, it's working out and, well, let's see. All right. Yeah, working out and it's the food. And even then you can split those up. So you can split working out up. You can split it into lifting and you can split it into cardio. And so once again, I now have 3 emails based on that one case study. I say, all right, here's what we did with John Doe. With John Doe, first thing to get him 6-pack abs, we had to change up his meal plan. We had to change up what he was eating because dude was eating McDonald's all the time. So we had to change up what he's eating. Here's what we changed. And look at that. Just based on what he ate, everything changed. And then the next email. Now the next thing we did with John is we worked on his cardio because, I mean, you can change whatever, but the abs are already there. So all we really had to do was work on the cardio. I mean, what we did with the cardio, we did boxing and then bam. Then the next email. Now after the cardio and the meal, now we just had him work out. That way he can like build a little bit more. So at that point, you're just breaking it up. That's really what you're doing in terms of the emails. If you don't have the case studies, it's really just about getting a little bit creative with what you're doing. So those are literally the 8 steps in terms of building a 7-figure personal brand. So I'll run through those again. Step number 1, you start with a vision. So what exactly are you trying to accomplish? You got to get on that mission level in terms of you're just purely obsessed with accomplishing this mission. Step number 2, you get your website up because people are going to Google you. You got to look like a bad mofo when they Google you. Step number 3, you create a program, you create an offer. You need something to sell. You have to have something to sell. You do not start with content. You need something to sell. After you create that program, then you create a sales process. So you create the funnels, the pages. And after that, you create your autoresponder sequence. So bam, what emails are you going to write in there? After that, you create the ads. So now you start selling. So you're creating the ads. They go through your funnel. After you have the ads, now you create content. So now you're focusing on, hey, here's how you get 6-pack abs in your content. And finally, step number 8, you keep adjusting until it works. Those are literally steps to building a 7-figure personal brand. And we are good to go for today. So I will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care, everybody. Adios. Deuces.